Alright folks, well we are doing some more War of Right 1776. I'm excited to do it on this map. Kind of Patriot-like vibes. We have one of the better maps, more balanced maps in the game in Hills Counterattack. This is one where normally the Union, this time it's the Americans, have a decent chance of winning it, though it is a bit different, right, because there's no artillery in the game. So the British won't have any artillery in the way that the CSA normally does on here, but the American defenders also, they kind of have less accurate versions of the 1842 in the brown besses that they're using. They're not going to have the range advantage that the Union does over the CSA. So I'm curious to see how this one unfolds. Again, by default, I would think that this would be maybe a decent one. We'll see what happens. But we have, to start off, Hills Counterattack. We have 322 on server pop. Really good round of Piper Farm before this, and I expect more. So we'll do the officers while we're in a long-range shootout here, and we'll just get them unmuted. Well, I don't know why there's this thing where the officers sometimes, I don't know if that's just been dying or what that is, but it seems like it's happened to me a number of times. Redcoat, what a good name, and for just such an event, right? All right, so we're in. Again, we're at the very start here, so both sides barely moved at all from battle ready. The Americans might be finding that, well, they're not able to do much. I mean, the CSA normally have Whitworths when this is in the 1862 version, and so that gives them some good range firepower as well. They also don't have that, and I guess the Americans here feel they need to move up, maybe to keep the British off cap. These are, if you haven't seen this before, even though to some Americans they might think that that's maybe like a British fight, it's not. It's not. Those are the Americans. Yellow flag is going to be. Yeah, the yellow one, that's going to be British. I don't remember if it's the Hessians. All right, so that orangish one and the white one are the Hessian flags. I think they're both Hessians. And so that yellow one must be one. We could just find out. Yeah, one of the red coat companies. So, yeah, should be a lot of shooting. I mean, there's no artillery. There's nothing else to do until we get down to melee time. But the Brits are staying pretty well together. Americans have tried to gain a flank on this group. And, man, this group here does not seem to know what's up. I'm going to be embarrassed if I find out that that's actually a Hessian company, but because we already located their flags, I really don't think it's that. But yeah. These are the kind of Walmart Hessians in the Americans. Can't afford quite as nice stuff, but for the most part we get the job done. Alright, now I know one of these is, I think, a company of the line, and the other is a company of grenadiers. Those are the redcoats. Right, it's either one or the other. I believe that's true on all the maps. I don't think the companies change, but yeah, the Americans look pretty thick over there. I mean, redcoats aren't doing too bad either, and they do have friendlies nearby if they choose to be. It's a sick-looking volley. Alright, I see the Americans are going up and over. I wonder if they're going to go and try to take the high ground. Having also availed themselves of the lowest ground I think you can get on the map there. They're looking for some of the highest, so we'll creep up. It's one of the specialties of this channel. Alright, yeah, the Americans wedge themselves against the edge of the map. We'll see how that goes. I mean, it's long-range shooting over a fence, again, with, you know, War of Rights, a less accurate 1842, so it's going to be rough. But the Americans are trying to work together.
Steady. No. Right there. In the bushes. Aim in the bushes. That's...
Alright, the Americans on the low ground decided to go get healthy. Maybe they didn't like the ticket burn rate. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. And you can see that this is just a couple of companies trading volleys through a bush. If the weather could always stay like it is right now, in-game of course, I would take that.
Crouch, quick. Race. Not you guys.
Okay.
Come up, come up.
All right. So maybe both the red coat companies are going to come up here. The line and the Grens, and wow, I've never seen the destruction on the hay bale. I don't know. If the company, the line, and the Grens come over here, I don't know if the Americans have the numbers. Also, where is the fourth? All right, so the fourth American company is the one down at the bottom. This just seemed too small to be three companies. And man, Americans are getting shreked out here. Understandably fall back to get healthy. It's a good move as an officer. You know, you don't really want to wait until there's like 3 dudes left in your company to be like, all right, let's pull it back, because then if you're in a firefight, you're probably getting shot up so bad that you're going to lose the flag. Everybody's going to die. You're going to have to take some out of formation deaths at the end. But if you kind of see like this isn't really working, pull back while you still got half your company. Let the other half spawn in. It means the flag will be spawning people in formation the whole time. And that should make your unit combat effective much more quickly than just trying to stick it out for another volley or two. Right? If you're not doing anything that's going to change the dynamic of how that firefight's going, right? If friendlies aren't coming in 1862, if artillery's not coming in, right? It's just bad. You know, you're playing the long game. You're playing to win at the very end. So for the defenders, that means the black time goes 000 and the attackers aren't capping it. And for the attackers, it means either you cap it after breaking for the defenders, or you just kill them through last stands. Alright, Redcoats seem like they are moving up. I don't know if they've gradually been kind of working themselves off into this corner, and they're just going to try to shoot the Americans back. I mean, this is not something you normally see in 1862. This is not a complaint. This is very interesting, very fun to watch. I don't think we need to get that close, but if that gives you some overview of who's doing what. Brits staying nice and thick. Is there? Oh, that's where the fourth company is. All right, it's back behind the other 3. Whereas for the Americans, they have a company that I think is a bit ambitiously positioned if they plan on hitting anything. And now we'll see if this is going to be leapfrog by the British, or if this is actually a charge. That is a sick angle. If they, well, maybe they felt they couldn't go. Okay. We will see how this goes. I'm a little surprised the other companies did not come up and support this. I mean, if the Americans just stand their ground and shoot, I have no idea why they're running away. They would absolutely have wiped that company, which was doing very well. The British have sent 3 companies over here to deal with 1 American one. Yeah. Yeah, all these Americans have to do is just turn around. And it was only like 2/3 of that 1 company that actually went in for the charge. The rest, I think wisely, stayed back with the flag, both to protect it, but also to keep it in formation. Yeah. I mean, this is it. Eventually that officer, okay, that officer's back. He sees what's up. Either he was planning on support and he didn't get it, or he realized, we did what we had to do. Maybe it was a delaying action, so the rest of the British could reposition. Yeah, again, whoever is doing this exactly right. When they concentrate against you like that, you just pull out of there. And so that's very nicely done. What the defenders are doing, and the attackers are helping them, they're just running that black time around. Right? All this running back and forth stuff, I understand that casualties are happening, but as the attackers, you kind of want to bear down on the defenders. But, as always, what do I know? The defenders go down first, the Americans go down first. But I think they were getting walloped in the volleys that were being traded up here. So I don't know if that's because of recent events. And certainly the Americans running away rather than standing their ground, shooting and countercharging when that one company charged probably led the Americans to an unfavorable ticket take ratio from the attackers. But again, there's a lot of new people in the game. Even if you've played the game for 5, 6, 7 years, you haven't played it like this before. And so everybody's got to kind of adjust to it. In particular, the weapons that are here and the weapons that are not here. And so that, with an influx of new players, welcome new players, it's going to lead to some growing pains. But might actually be the most interesting time in the game, right? Before new metas develop and every skirmish round feels like a reenactment. In some ways it's fresh, right? It's like getting a new skirmish map. I don't get its commentary. I don't know that this is necessary from the Americans. The attackers have pulled back this far. The attackers have a good ticket burn rate. This makes sense if the Americans' plan is to play cap recap. If that is the Americans' plan, to force the British eventually into capping early and then counterattacking, the Americans are playing this extraordinarily well. And the Brits, they need to realize that that's a possibility. So this American company has gotten very ambitious. And, you know, it's a sizable company, so it can afford to have some ambition. Hey, drop the flag! Yeah, but you got two companies out here. But again, the Brits are just doing the Americans a huge favor by chasing this company off. In the end, this company can kite you back to areas you can't go, but they can. So, kudos to Chunky. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay in some of the letters clearing up for me. Okay, that is a very ambitious volley, and, you know, little do they know, this probably ought to be their angle. And with those two British companies chasing the one American one, you all know what that means, is that there's an opportunity for the Americans then to concentrate 3 companies against the 2 from the Brits, assuming everybody works together. But again, this American company right here does not need the support from these folks. They're not going to be accurate at that distance. There's a much greater threat here. And so in terms of efficiency, right, for the amount of lead that we're going to throw out in a given period of time and how many tickets we're going to take from the enemy, the wise move is to focus over here. Again, unless this is a very long plan, like very well done, that they actually want to keep the British with some tickets, I have to do this, right? This is just, it looks too good. It looks too good not to show. I hope it comes through in OBS and then through YouTube's compression. I hope it looks as good to you as it does to me, because it's a beautiful thing. Especially those knapsacks the Brits have. It takes very little to impress me, but no, I think that those are especially nicely done. Did those American companies... Oh my goodness. They're still popping, I'm assuming, brown buzz? You know what? They're going to figure out sooner or later where they need to be shooting. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So.
I mean, yeah, but we're like 50 yards from them. This is like...
Dude, I totally agree with you. You've been volleying over here for minutes, and those companies are trying to shoot at things 2 yards away. 2 yards away? 200 yards away. And they're not aiming at you guys. You're probably 75, 100 yards away. Unless, again, it's all part of a much deeper plan to allow the Brits to cap early. They just barely went engaged at 27 minutes. So it is possible. Maybe the Mel Gibson pride will do. We'll see. Yeah. The Grens, the company of the line. They're all doing very nicely. And that company is the hero company, I think, for the Americans, holding off both companies of Hessians. Alright, the Americans, though their flag is down, they are looking for a bit of a flanking angle. Of course, that lead company has some protection from the company that is back here. Yeah, and the Americans on the low ground have decided to pull out. Normally on this map... Is there a volley back? Yeah, it's bullshit. Okay. Normally... Hey, this is actually perfect. Let's say the key to this map, I think, is pretty much the control right where the American flag is. It's on the, and it's up here on the map border. This is the high ground that overlooks the point. Whoever controls up here controls access into the point. Sometimes you have to fight it from the low ground. I find that for whatever reason, the Union, or in this case the Americans, tend to be the ones who have to do that the most.
It's like Barry Lyndon.
Huzzah!
Yeah, it is. Oh.
The Americans probably realized it's been quiet for too long. Somebody's moved. Okay, this company probably is now without a shot. Well, you know, minus a few. For the next 30 seconds. If the Americans... 25 seconds. If the Americans know that, they can come up here and they can independent... Okay, well, you had the right idea when you were shooting. After that, not so much, but you really got to make... Okay, well...
Steel boys.
What was that? Just dissatisfied with...
I think it's far independent this way.
The other side's flag bearing. I don't know. This company's going to need some help. Okay, that might be enough to do it. What happened on the far side? The Grens moved up, and that American company that was over there, I believe, baited them back. And now they're just sitting out there. Potentially, all 4 American companies could probably concentrate against the 2 that are over here. Americans need to be careful here, and they need to start thinking about cap recap. They're about to go taking losses. They do that. The cap timer is only 6-7 minutes. We will not submit that to great volleys quarterly. We'll do some practice.
Make sure you're using round ball, gentlemen. Or sorry, bucket ball. Let's use bucket ball at this distance. Take it. Steady.
Might have hit something. But if they wanted to, the Americans have a better position, I think, as the hill rolls down, tuck themselves into this pocket. Brits have to come over. You got bucking ball. All you got to do is just aim uphill, and everything that crosses that ridge is going to get dropped. I'm a little surprised the Brits backed off here. Huh. Where did our Hessians go? So they went up to the limit of where they can go without timing out. Yeah, those are the Americans going taking losses. Again, they really need to think about getting the Brits to cap here. And this American company out here does not need to take this fight. They can. The Americans are they're gonna try to crush these companies. I mean, I don't think this is where the ticket bleed's coming from. I think it's up top. Those Americans have a fence for cover and corn for concealment.
Hey, Hessians, I need you to back it up for me. Back it up. Turn it around, back it up a little bit. Turn it up, fall it back a little bit. Let's go. Fall it back a little bit. Let's go.
I mean, there is an argument that if you flatten them, then I guess you could try to bait the Brits to cap, or if the Brits are reluctant, then just burn a bunch of time off the black timer. But the problem is the Americans have already gone taking losses well before 17 minutes. And so all their mind metrics, they're pretty good at evaluating who's ahead and who's behind. And so the Brits are absolutely ahead on this map. All right, so the Americans have elected to pull back. They're now in a deflate. So if we can kind of get just at their height, where, well, if their friendlies would get out of the way, they can probably all just about see and shoot over that hill, or whatever comes over that hill. And very little of them is exposed. I don't know what the casualties have been like over here for this group of Americans, but they might do well to do something different. Yeah, it's been quiet way too long. The Brits are up to something. You gotta know that. Alright, so they lost their CO, but my guess is the order...
Boys. Get them steel, boys.
Really?
For the queen!
There we go. Just... Oh, they need you guys over here. I'm surprised that the Americans dropped that quickly. I mean, again, maybe it's all part of a brilliant plan to... No. That company needed to concentrate over here. Yeah, that flag needs to get back. Not that the Brits can camp it, but actually they can come pretty close because they can still shoot at it from the hill. So I don't know if that's the Brits trying to get rid of their tickets before they early cap or what. Alright, I saw this company standing out in the field, and I was like, they're probably gonna get wiped up there, especially if that group decides to turn. They've grasped the key point here, which is kind of between those trees. I think of as the goalpost. Point is right there, but it also is a little bit back, a little bit forward. Yeah, unfortunately for the Americans, this might end up being rough because they lost so many guys on the way in. I don't know if they're going to have the lead to throw back at this company. I wonder, where is the 4th American company? They're still out there trying to deal with the Hessians. That's... Well, it is what it is. But they would be a useful sweeper unit back here. So, the 10th line has 68. The Grens have 65. So if we say that's about 130 on a team of two... Oh my goodness, it's a 20-man advantage for the British. So I didn't know that. So that being the case, the Americans are not doing bad if they can force cap recap. Yeah, being down 20 is rough. But I think we're in a better time for EU players than we are for NA, and so maybe that explains a bit of it. But during NA the other evening, it was not the case that it was wildly imbalanced. Maybe it's because the Americans don't mind playing as British because they get to play Americans of some stripe all the time, whereas for the Brits who really want to play as Brits and not as Americans, it's as long as this event runs. But it did say in the achievement that it's an annual event now. Which means, you know, maybe a couple of weeks a year we get to do this. Maybe next year will be a couple more companies. Very cool. And I guess intellectually this could double as a very poor man's War of 1812 maybe by next year. You know, I know in America we call it the War of 1812. It doesn't end in 1812, but I wonder, I don't know what... Well, if they didn't know, they definitely heard you just say it. But no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, the way they were right the first time, if they would have come back here, but they don't know we know they know. No, I don't know what the Brits call the War of 1812, because, you know, they're involved in the on-again, off-again struggles there with Napoleon. He doesn't even know he's behind him. He doesn't even know what it is. Well, that's a lot of shots being taken on the line. That was a cool looking volley. That was very cool.
Hold fire, hold fire, hold fire, hold fire.
Yeah, the whole flipping ramrod thing, it's a little funny to see. I know they're professional. I assume that these are professionals, but I don't know if they're quite that good. Toss the ramrod up and catch it in the gun. It's pretty good. I'm very confused as to what the British are doing. Because they are just running a I mean, alright, so the Brits are going to do their slow motion charge here. You don't need melee mode.
Enemy regiment.
That barely dropped anybody. I think the Americans might have got 2. From what I've seen from the Brits so far, that probably got far more than 2. But I think the Americans, okay, they weren't taking off. They didn't shoot and scoot. They're going to stand their ground here as best they can. Move! I need a thumbnail. All right, I'm not going to get one. I actually had any, you know, sort of ability, I would just pause the video, do it, and then bring you back. But, you know, I guess those British volleys weren't killing as many as I thought. Well, the Americans are going to be very happy with this. Not tremendously happy, because they're still on schedule, I think, to go breaking by 10 minutes.
Blue, it's time to fall back. Blue, it's time to fall back.
All right, so maybe my suspicion is correct that the Americans were playing for cap recap the whole time, and now it's time to try to huddle up. You can huddle up down here, and if you want to super huddle up, you can go on the other side of this hill, and you can be really hidden then. So I don't know what the Americans are going to come up with here, but they do need to make a decision soon. I do not believe they're in... Oh my goodness. Well, if there was a plan, it was not well communicated to everyone, because these guys now who were, I think, doing much better much earlier, they've gotten way... This is completely unnecessary. It may be fun, but my biases are coming through. I think this is the most useless flank on this map. I think sides compete for it in 1862, just so the other side can't have it, and, you know, they don't want to be able to have the other side shoot into point when point is right there. You know, with 1862 weapons, alright, I get it. But, especially, wow, actually I don't get it. I think there are other ways you can deal with that, but... Yeah, the Americans are going to time out. This is just a waste of tickets. They are going to put the team into breaking, and then the British will win. This side needed to get a lot more passive from the Americans, and sadly, there was no great plan. Alright, but I think we have some close range volleys here with that one British company that's dealing with 2 American ones. I'm not sure what I'm... Just like I wasn't sure why that American company was shooting at those Hessians, I don't know why they're shooting at those Americans when they have much juicier targets. But I will say, this one company is standing its ground against 2 American ones. And the Brits are going to win. Now cap recap is out of the books, unless the Brits get super passive. But they seem to have this on a really good clock. Yeah, 3 or 4 minutes before I would consider it panic time, and you can see now this group, which I think has been relatively unscathed, they just get to walk on the point. There's no Americans that are near it, because those 2 companies back there were battered by the other ones. That company can now play the role of anvil. In case those American companies try to come up and then come down, they will be there to deal with it. Those 2 American companies now have to run over here after being in a hot engagement. I don't think they're going to beat the Hessian companies. Again, they might. It's probably going to be very bloody if it does happen. The Americans are stuck in the position you never want to be in, where you have to run toward the enemy, and they can sit there and shoot you. No, you don't. No, just keep reloading. You could independent fire them down as they come in. Save the bayonet for the next wave. Oh, I didn't see they were that close to capping. That's right, the Americans hadn't built up the cap beforehand. Very well played by the British. Very nicely done. To the Americans, I actually thought you had the great rope-a-dope, and then it turned out no, there was no plan. So, but I think if it had been executed about halfway through taking losses, this would have been a much closer outcome. But yeah, this did not disappoint. This map usually doesn't. I enjoyed it. I hope you did too, and I hope to have you back for the next one. We'll take a look at the casualties, and we'll get on out of here. I mean, I don't usually talk during this part, but just look at the casualty indifference. Right? The defenders are taking way more, and also more out of lines. It's about even on skirmishing, but that's just a testament to, I think, a number of things. But yeah, well played.